Hello there. I want to share with you how I put together our unit studies. To begin with, you can start with any curriculum that you have, or you can make your own. And if you're at a loss, you can always check the State Department of Education to find out what your child should be learning during each grade. So to start out with, I always check my bookcase to see if there are any books that relate to the subject that we're about to study. Now for this unit, we're going to be studying ancient Rome. So I'm checking my bookcase to see if there are any books that relate to ancient Rome. And I do find one or two books. So I pull them from my bookcase so that I can find out what I have and what I'll need. So here's one more book that I have it's just a general history of the world. So the next thing that I do is I check my bins that are sorted thematically. And I do have different subjects here like ancient Greece or nature study or math, but I don't have one on ancient Rome. I also go through my games to see if there's anything that will relate. So I am using a Waldorf curriculum, and I use this as my basis, and then from it I can add and supplement the curriculum with other material. So I check the table of contents to see what the topics are going to be for this unit, and then I put together a wish list of the supplies that I think that I will need. So I can check my local library, or I can ask friends, or I can purchase on my own from different vendors. So I have put together 4 different historical novels that I think will go nicely with this unit. So the first thing that I do is I check to see how many chapters are in each book. And then I take a little post-it sticky and I write down how many chapters we'll do each day and how long I anticipate the book will take in order for us to read, because these are books that I read aloud to the kids. So I do this with each book, and I do try to make it so that it's even within a week. I don't like to end a book midweek and then start one. It's just easier to be able to do 5 chapters or 10 chapters a week. So I'm checking now, and so if a book has, say, 13 chapters, but it has a prologue and an epilogue, then I will consider that 15 chapters and that it will take 3 weeks to complete. So I'm doing this for each of the books, and now I am looking through some of our activities that will supplement this unit. I always like to have some kind of hands-on activities that the kids can do for each unit that we're doing. And so this one has some bridges that the kids can construct. And this one is an excavation kit for a Roman bowl and a Roman vase. And then in one of the books, we got this nice poster that went along with the book, and so it's something that I would display in our schoolroom while we're studying the unit on ancient Rome. And from it, actually, we got some inspiration for some other projects that we could do. There are some beautiful pictures of some recipes here, and so we decided to make an ancient Roman meal as one of our activities during this unit. I also like to supplement our unit with different maps or different artwork that can decorate our schoolroom while we're studying the unit. And this one has some maps of ancient Greece and ancient Rome, and then some of the surrounding areas. So with each of these units, historical units, I do like to talk about the religion or the mythology of the people of the time that we're studying. And so for this one, we're going to be studying some Roman mythology, and I'm looking through at this book and I'm trying to decide like how long that book is going to take us to cover. And it's going to cover 6 weeks. Like, it'll take 6 weeks to do this book if we're doing 1 chapter a day. And so I'm writing that on the front cover so I know how to organize our schedule. And I am looking through this book called The City, and even though this book has over 100 pages, there's very minimal text on each page, and so I'm giving that book only a week to cover. So next up, I want to make sure that I actually get a history book in all of this, not just culture and religion. And so I have these 2 books. One is a general history, and the other one is more of a biography, which I love to include in our history units. So for this one, I'm thinking that it's going to take 6 weeks. Now I know I've written 5 weeks here, but I go back and I change that later. So these DK Eyewitness books are great. The photography and the illustrations are really beautiful, but I find them hard to read because of all the different pictures and captions. So I usually only read 1 2-page spread every day, and I don't make it the main focus of our lesson, just something as a supplement. But my kids love to look at those pictures. This book called Romans also has, I think, about 80 pages, and I decided to cover this over 2 weeks' time, reading 10 pages a day, Monday through Thursday. So this book, this Encyclopedia of World History, is a great reference. So if you don't use a curriculum, but you want to put together your own unit study, that would be a great resource. So this is a nice biography that I'm just looking through to figure out how long it's going to take to read. And sometimes I have to go by pages rather than chapters, so I am mindful of how long the chapters are so that I can figure out whether I'm going to go by, say, 10 pages a day or by 1 or 2 chapters a day, because I do want to fit into our units, which for this one is going to be 3 3-week units spread over the fall and the winter. I also like to include some activity books, and this one has some nice text that you can read along with some activities, so I do really like it. And this book has 13 chapters, but I'm going to make it over 3 weeks so that I can have 2 days of flexibility in case we don't get to reading a chapter or we take Friday off. And this is another activity book which is really nice. Now this one just has activities. It does have some text to go along with the activities, but it's more a book about projects rather than a book about information. And I like it a lot because the projects are really simple to do. And by going through it now and just kind of marking off the pages that I think will be of interest to us later, then at least I can start looking through my own supplies to see if I have the materials that we need in order to do these projects. And if we don't, then we can ask grandma, or we can ask friends, or we can go to the craft store. And don't underestimate what you can find in your garage, because we're resourceful, and we do find a lot of things that we can use in order to make these projects. So here's a book just about one topic that will make a nice addition to our ancient Rome unit. So now I'm just going through the books, and I'm just trying to sort through what's going to go into week 1 or what's going to go into unit 1, just so that I can be sure to cover all of our favorite books. And in this, sometimes we have books that end up being reference books that we don't read cover to cover, and sometimes we just simply don't get to a book, or sometimes we buy books that end up not working so well for us. Either the kids are not interested in them, or they're too dense, or they're too complex for the age group. And so I generally like to have a few extra books rather than not having enough books. And so I am just checking how many chapters this ancient Rome book has, because I actually didn't do that first off. And I started reading this book to my kids without realizing how many pages we'd have to cover. And so if I do this over 9 weeks, that ancient Rome book, then I will end up not reading the last maybe 4 entries. So I want to make sure that we have enough projects to span this unit. And now I am showing you what I ended up choosing for week 1 of unit 1. And here are some of the projects that we'll do. We're going to make an ancient Roman meal. We did some watercolors for the map of the area. And I have a video on this that you can check out. And this is what I decided for week 2, and it has those big projects there on excavating a bowl and a vase. And then for week 3, we have making a Roman armor, which really took the whole week. And this is what I'm anticipating for our second unit with this activity. And then here are some of the pages in that activity book that I thought might make nice projects for our second unit. and I haven't decided firmly on what those projects will be. And this is what I've collected for our third unit. And actually I made a mistake. The mythology book would have been completed by the end of Unit 2. And then here are some other ideas for projects based on that other activity book. And this is a good chance for me now to collect those materials that I think that I'll need, and even to do these projects outside of our unit study, because we're done with one of our history units and now we're going to go on to something else, but it's a good time to read that book called Forest Hills. And I keep all of my material that I'm using right in a cubby behind my desk so that it's easy for me to access when I'm homeschooling. And then later I can always put it in one of the bins in my cabinet to sort my materials through themes. And I'll do that after we're done with this unit completely. I'll collect all the materials that we used and I will put it in a bin and I will label it Ancient Rome so that the next time we do this unit I will have everything that I need. Okay guys, thanks for watching.